to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we try to figure out how to build and run a SaaS. I'm Brian.
And I'm Benedikt. Each week, we'll give you an honest peek into our lives as we build our products and keep the lights on with consulting. Today is Friday, August 16th, 2019. I'm feeling okay today.
This is episode number 4, and I'm feeling encouraged.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, we'll get.
Tell me more.
So we'll jump into it. So this past week was a good one. On Tuesday, I'll just give a quick update on some feature audit stuff, and then we can move on to talk about a topic we've been wondering about. We alluded to last week. On Tuesday, my good friend, who we've worked together. We were coworkers at a previous startup. We've done a bunch of consulting work together as a pair, as a team. And so on Tuesday, he took the morning and we hopped on a screencast and paired up on some stuff on feature audit that just had me stuck. And it was just really nice of him to offer it up. He's actually been listening to the show. It was like, hey, let's take a morning. I think I can help you. I would like to help get you unstuck on a couple things. And it's just something. He's an amazing backend developer, and DevOps guy, all the way down to the metal, and so I was just, we pulled open a couple of files, like this one controller in particular, and it's just amazing to watch somebody who's extremely skilled at an area of development that I'm pretty much in the dark on. To just watch somebody think through and boom, 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 and it was incredible to see how much progress he was able to help me make in just a really short amount of time. So that felt super encouraging, and he helped me knock out a couple of other just piddly little things on the app that would have taken me 2 hours of Googling, and he had it solved in 12 minutes just because So all right, but so that has me super encouraged, that the feeling of this is it felt good. It was really great, and I made some good progress on my consulting, on the consulting side of things. Actually, last week when we were talking about that what would the top tier package be if rather than writing a custom proposal every single time, I was just here it is. Well, I actually had a prospect that I'd been emailing back and forth, and so I was like, all right, look, there's nothing to be lost here if I just say, hey, here's the package. Maybe this is what you want. And they said yes. And
nice.
So,
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks. So it's good that it's a one project. It's a success. It's a win there. But it's at least a bit of validation that I've got something on the packaging roughly correct. So yeah, it was a really encouraging week. How about you?
Yeah, my week was, I want to say busy, because one side effect of the launch was that we suddenly had a bunch of appointments in our calendars, lots of demos and calls with investors. Not that we are thinking about taking investment, but a lot of them reached out, and then we were like, yeah, okay, well, talking doesn't hurt. But a lot of the demos just fell through. Nobody showed up. I think one of them was kind enough to actually cancel ahead of time. The others just didn't show up.
How'd those get scheduled?
We had a brilliant idea of doing putting a request a demo button on the website. Halfway through the launch, we're like, maybe we should just add this button, and we just put it on there and send people to Calendly, and then they would just book it. Probably not the best process in hindsight, but I don't know. It was worth a try,
because you feel like there needs to be one more level of pre-qualification so that you're not showing up for these no-show demos that they don't have any skin in the game.
Yeah, I think that wasn't the smartest idea. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, for now, the button is just up there.
Okay.
Maybe things get better in the future. If not, we might remove the button again, or I don't know, put an additional form in there to make sure it's actually, pre-qualified a bit.
Yeah, screen for one extra level of commitment.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
So as I said, I want to say I was busy, but in the end, I was just sitting around waiting for people to show up. But I got some like consulting work done this week. So in between, like waiting for calls, which was nice because like all of that basically stopped before the launch. I just focused on the product.
Mm-hmm.
And I also did some more research on the next feature we're going to build, the in-app messages, and played around with WebSockets, see if we can get like somewhat real-time delivery of messages into people's browsers. Kind of worked, but yeah, have to see. Still not entirely sure how to build this stuff.
Okay.
I think the most exciting part this week was I was on Adam Wethan's Full Stack Radio podcast. That was quite fun.
Yeah, nice.
And talked a little bit with him about all the technical details of Userlist and basically did the deep dive into technical challenges.
Okay.
Building that product.
Yeah, that one is sitting on my phone to listen to. We're heading out for a weekend camping trip, and so I'll throw that one on the drive or something.
Nice. Bore your family to death.
No way. The kids will be fine, and my wife actually enjoys listening to like some of these podcasts. She's not in the industry, but finds it interesting. So, and particularly because it's you. She's like, it's kind of fun getting to know this Benedikt guy.
Yeah, that's fun. I didn't forget to mention the podcast in the end. So maybe you, hello, listener. Thanks for coming over.
Great. Cool. Let's see what else. So on the in-app messaging thing, does that feel like you're saying that you don't know exactly how you're going to execute it still? Is that right?
Yeah.
So is this upcoming week you're setting some time aside for more discovery, or how are you going about thinking through that?
Yeah, I'll probably do some more experiments and play around and build some more prototypes because like it's still, I mean, we're pretty set on the idea of doing this as the next big thing.
Okay.
But I'm not entirely convinced about how to approach it.
Yeah.
And there are too many like question marks in too many different areas. So I'm just like doing more research, building small prototypes and just seeing what works and what doesn't, and where, like basically finding out what the unknowns are and then trying to find solutions to those.
Yeah. I haven't read Shape Up yet, the new
Me neither.
book by Ryan Singer, but everybody seems to be loving it. So I want to jump in on that. Because I know that they have that, the Hill, HILL, like the Hill chart, where in their planning they kind of have this concept of for a while you're figuring out what you don't know and figuring out how long these things may take, and then the back half of the project is like pushing everything downhill. So that's why I was asking. I was curious if you had read that.
Yeah.
If you were.
No, but I discovered it earlier this week. I listened to the interview with Jason Fried on the Build Your SaaS podcast.
Yeah,
and
that was a good one.
Then like checked out the ShapeUp website. I wish it would be available for like to download on Kindle or something, because I
know, hate reading on the.
Yeah, I hate reading on the at the desk sitting at the computer. That's I don't know. That just doesn't really work for me. Yeah. Maybe there's a way to just scrape the website.
I was gonna say
build something, but
the layout is so clean and the navigation is so clean. It would not be that hard to just turn that into a.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically the only thing that stopped me from actually going in and reading it. But it looks like good piece of content. And I especially like that hill chart analogy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
and we're definitely in the climbing phase.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So is that an ongoing like back and forth conversation between you and Jane and Claire?
Right now, it's basically just me
Okay.
doing
Yeah.
research.
Yeah.
We had a longer discussion about this a while ago, but at this point, we're not entirely sure what we actually want to build. So the plan was to just like create something very basic and simple, and then see where it takes us from there based on customer feedback.
Right.
But like, yeah, I just want to make sure that I know what I'm dealing with before like building a first version and shipping it to production.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. Well, we left off last week talking about, or I guess I just said, I feel like I feel like I've come to the point where I realize I need a co-founder on Feature Audit. So maybe we want to talk about the idea of pros and cons of having a co-founder, finding a co-founder, what makes a good founding team, all that. How's that sound?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Well, so let me. You did an amazing job of being a business therapist last week, and saving me from going down the rabbit trail of recording 20 hours of video. Uh,
So you didn't record any video. That's good.
I didn't, and you encouraged me to find a way to think through how to ship something at that middle product ladder without doing that. So thanks. Well, so then yeah, so let me expand on that a little bit. The reason that I said, 'cause I'm jumping to the solution, is I need a co-founder. The reason I'm saying that, and I feel like it was completely confirmed on Tuesday, like just in 2.5, 3 hours, whatever, with my friend, is, man, like there's so much that you need to know how to do, and not nobody can be really good across the entire business, product, and tech stack. You just, I mean, there may be one person out there who can, but for the most of us mortals. And so I'm feeling that, sense of when I run up into one of those areas where I'm not strong, it just like completely, throws a wet blanket on the momentum, and being able to play, like back and forth with somebody. And so I think that's why I'm like, yeah, I just need to go. Feature audit's probably not worth anything if I continue to try to build it myself. And so that's why I came to that conclusion. That's where I'm at anyway.
Yeah. So what type of co-founder are you looking at getting? Like a technical co-founder?
Yeah,
or
for sure.
Okay, so someone to take over development?
At least back end development. And I mean, yes, ideally development entirely, so that I could focus on product and business side of things, product and marketing side of things. And feature audits written in Rails. And so ideally, I mean, just so that I could, hop in and chip in from time to time, I would prefer if it were somebody who was technical and that were their language. And yeah, so I think that's what I'm thinking right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I mean, I have two co-founders, but like, I have no idea about finding co-founders. Like,
It's you and Jane connected because were you doing consulting work on her previous SaaS?
Yes, that's how we started working together.
You were a hired gun, and then
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that feels like that's a great way to go about it. I mean, and to say, I mean, I'm sure some listeners are like wondering, like my friend who helped me out on Tuesday, we've worked together a ton. We work really, really great together. Naval, I think I put this in. Naval has this great quote, he's like, pick business partners with high intelligence, energy, and above all, integrity. And this, yeah, I'm sure, you know, he may be listening, so hello. Like this friend of mine has is the highest integrity individual I have ever met in my entire life. And so like on that description, like nails. The thing that I think, you know, where we didn't find, you know, complete like the wheels didn't completely kick, what's the right analogy there, like things just weren't entirely clicking, was like feature audit was kind of my thing over here and my idea. It's not entirely validated, like there's not traction to like, oh hey, yeah, there's really something here, like it's still just kind of a like an idea. um and he had a, you know, he's got a couple of ideas, you know, kind of similar. What we weren't able to do was, haven't been able to do, is to kind of dream one up and have the same shared belief and vision. Because I mean, starting a startup is really hard, and
Yeah.
you've got to get through the, you know, the slow points. It has to be something, I think, that's also like your own ownership of dream and vision and desire for it to exist. And feature audit has that for me, not entirely for my friend, and then vice versa on some other things. So just to kind of flesh that out, in case some people are wondering, like, hey dude, I think you've got the perfect, that's why it hasn't clicked, you know, up to this point.
Yeah.
But so, man, how did I get off onto that? What were we talking about?
Well, you're basically answering the obvious question. Why don't you
Yes.
take on your friend as a co-founder?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I think that was a valuable,
Right.
valuable answer.
I mean, so that's the answer. That's the answer for feature audit specifically. Like, why am I still looking for a co-founder on it? Why do I think I need a co-founder on it? So let's just kind of talk about like, let's think through what would be the pros and cons, um, of continuing to kind of try to push this along solo to get it to the point of, you know, well, okay, there's no there. Let's throw it away and do some discovery on the next thing. Um, or to go ahead and bring, find a co-founder and try to do that together.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the pros and cons?
What I really like about having co-founders, and you hinted at this last week, is like, even when I'm not working on something, there's still progress. So I don't know, maybe I'm working on a consulting project for a week, but there will still be progress on like the marketing side, or Change comes up with a new feature and builds designs for it, and there's basically just ongoing progress. Someone else is there to answer emails, and it's not like when I stop working on something, the entire project comes to a full stop, and then yeah, all the momentum is lost. And I think that's super, super valuable of having co-founders.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, things happen. Things are happening even when you aren't doing them, and that creates its own kind of momentum. There's also, and there's, you know, related to that is, you know, accountability, is feeling like, okay, yeah, this is good. They're making sacrifices on their end, or they're committed to this on their end, so they're pushing it forward, and that, you know, inspires you into action, which just
Yeah,
it's a virtuous cycle that, you know, plays off of itself and builds and grows.
yeah, that's true.
So, well,
What?
I mean, I've already talked about this, but like, um, just the a wider breadth of skills and expertise and network and everything that comes along with it. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. What are the cons? What should I, when I, you know, in the same way that last week I was like, hey, here's what I think I'm gonna, and you're like, ooh, what are some cons I should be thinking about?
Well, for one thing, like from my experience, finding someone to work with, and like someone where it clicks is like really, really hard. It's not like Userlist isn't the first time I tried to partner up with someone to build a project together or co-found something. But in the past, it just didn't work. I mean, I still like the people and we're great friends, but for various reasons, it just didn't work out. I remember one thing where it was like we both had our own like projects on the side, but wanted to start a new thing together. But in the end, like none of us got enough work on it done to actually make a meaningful impact. And I feel like there are so many factors that have to come together at the same time that it's like makes it really, really hard. Like, for example, like everyone needs to have enough time to actually work on this new thing. The skills shouldn't overlap too much, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, right.
Because like I wouldn't want to co-found with another software developer, because like I can see us like doing endless discussions about should this code look like this or that other way, or should we use this language or that other framework? And we probably spend way too much time on stuff like that and not enough time on stuff we don't like in air quotes, like marketing or sales or whatever. And I think it's super important to have someone who complements your skill set, just to, as you said, like broaden the experience you can use and the skills you can use on the team.
Yeah, no, I completely. If there's like too much of it, some overlap, I'm sure is good, so that you can speak each other's language to a degree and understand what each other is talking about. Too much overlap where you each have a legitimate claim to ownership. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just kind of a recipe for unnecessary conflict, because in the end, like whichever choice you make doesn't matter as much as the what choice you are like the outcome of the choice you're making.
Yeah.
The business goals of the choice that you're making. The choice itself doesn't really matter.
Yeah. The other thing I can think of is like just the fact that you're not you means the business has to be double as successful.
Yeah, it has to make twice as much money.
It has to make twice as much money.
Yeah.
Upside of it, you split expenses by 2. That's something people tend to forget. Like that's the good part about having co-founders. Like you can pitch in like $5,000 each or so, and then suddenly it's 10,000 in the bank. So that actually helps. But yeah, like the goal immediately has to be quite a lot higher when going alone.
Yeah. I mean, so those tactical things, like those are things that it's almost like kind of checking a box, so to speak, like skill set. Are you into the thing? Those are a little bit easier to identify. I feel like the major that's not even what's slowing me down or giving me any pause. The major thing is just the human. Will we get along? Like, will we? Well, do I like the way that you'll you'll approach conflict? Or do we have like a shared, overall vision for what kind of business it is that we're building? How did that feel like it came together for your founding team?
Well, with Jane, both of us knew that we work very well together, just based on that experience of having that contractor relationship beforehand.
Yeah. How long was that? How long were you working on? Was that Tiny Reminder, by the way?
Yeah, that was Tiny Reminder.
Okay.
And I think it was like almost a year.
Okay. Yeah.
But like I didn't work like a lot on it. It took a couple of weeks. But like between building Tiny Reminder and then building Userlist or starting to think about Userlist was about a year, where we were basically in constant contact with each other and discussing stuff. And yeah.
That's a good. That's a good stretch.
But like that we work very well together was very obvious early on. Like after a couple of weeks, it was clear that, hey, this is working and it's fun for both of us. And this was a good basis. And with Claire, I think I mentioned it. Did I mention it in a previous episode? Like she was an early customer of Tiny Reminder.
Oh, cool. I didn't. I actually didn't know that.
And she made a really cool feedback video, basically using the app and giving feedback on everything, and sent that over to Jane. And I think that inspired Jane to just reach out to her and invite her to her podcast.
Yeah.
And when she started thinking about building Userlist, it was like, okay, we should probably get a marketing person. And Claire was like number one on the list.
Yeah, easy choice. Yeah. Okay.
I just have to do a quick break. My headphones are running out of battery. I'm switching to a different one. Just a second.
Let us pause.
When that happens, it's usually the signal that it was a long day at work and I should go home. Are they turning on?
Yeah, I'm still on the wired headphones.
Okay. And of course, they're not connecting. Okay, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Perfect. It's working. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
I didn't expect them to run out this early.
No, it's okay. Yeah. I am also just watching my laptop battery as well, so we may have a
What's the percentage?
We're at 22. So
okay, so we should make this quick.
I think we've probably let's shoot for like 8:50. Like we got about 15 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Let's see. Well, so you've got a link here in our like outline document, Benedikt, where it's like making sure everyone's on the same page and the same shared vision, and you link to a 3-hour brand sprint. What's the story there?
This was a suggestion by Claire. Even before we started, even before we agreed to work together, she suggested that we do this exercise. It's by Google Ventures, and I think it's to figure out basically the branding of your startup and the company. But we kind of used it just to figure out if our vision overlaps or is somewhat aligned.
Yeah.
And it includes exercises like, how do you envision the company in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years? And what do you feel like the language of your branding should be like? Is it more funny? Is it super serious? Is it enterprisey? And stuff like that. It has like a couple of exercises, and it's basically just a long form that you fill out, and we prepared that and then had a call comparing our answers. And that was really helpful to realize that we have a similar idea of how this should work, and like shared values in a way. Like It was clear to everyone that we wouldn't want to raise money for this, and we would like to be able to do this on the side while still earning money by consulting and stuff like that. Just like all these things that are easy to just imply but never talk about, and then suddenly you realize a year in that okay, you're planning to, I don't know, make this a super overnight success, and you want to make $1 million every month from it, but I don't know, want to pay the rent. So it was super helpful just to make sure that we're on the same page with everything.
Yeah, that sounds like a really great exercise. Actually, we did something sort of similar to this on previous startup I was working on, and it was really great in illuminating where you completely agree on some things, where you've got some disconnect, and how you can find alignment on those things. It's really cool. I'm like scrolling through the article right now. It looks really interesting. So I'll check that out. So what about what about alternatives in the short term? Because um, obviously, like if my primary concern is the the intangible, do we get along? Do we have a good vibe? That's going to take a long time, or that's going to take a longer time to sort out and parse than do you know Rails? What are some thoughts on how I can maintain some momentum and like get those benefits of complementary skill set in the meantime? What do you think?
One thing that's super valuable from my point of view is just like having a mastermind group with people with complementary skills.
Yeah.
Or maybe not necessarily complementary. That's not as big as a requirement as like having a co-founder, but like people who might have advice on stuff that where you just need it, like who did the same thing or are in a similar situation, and where you can just like talk to.
Are you in a mastermind group right now?
Actually 2, yeah.
Okay. How did you find those, form them?
One of them is just like friends, and we at some point we just started doing like monthly calls and just talking. And these days it's sort of a mastermind group. It just like morphed into it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one was people from MicroConf just approached me if I want to join, and we started doing this. And this one is particularly interesting because like each of us has like super different businesses. Like the overlap is very, very minimal. So you get a lot of outside perspectives,
That could probably
and
be pretty helpful.
Yeah. And I have from past experience, like just having that group of people that you can talk to and ask questions is super valuable to get like new ideas and just a different spin on things, as well as with the accountability. Like we don't do this right now, but in previous years, I was in a mastermind group where we basically just like committed to doing something until the next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Do it once a month, and then I commit to have like the landing page up by the next meeting and stuff like that.
Yeah, that can just, I can imagine how valuable that would be. I kind of get that, not as explicitly, that sort of, those sorts of benefits through the Mega Maker Slack group. That's like been the first community I've ever joined that felt like a true community. I think so much of it just has to do with I like really committed to contributing to it and helping people, and so that has felt really good. It's also still very large, There's not like, okay, here are like what do you rate, like 6 to 8 people, or like how many people are in your mastermind group?
One is 4, like including me, and the other one is 3, including me.
Okay.
So it's super small.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's interesting to think about too. But I don't have the very specific, this is the 4 of us, here's what we're working on, and regular check-ins. So I can see the value of that.
Yeah, at least you got a podcast, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, in all seriousness, like that, that 20-minute piece of that conversation from last week was just super valuable, of just being able to, here's what I'm thinking, and this is why I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
And somebody saying, yeah, I think you're on the right track, or whoa, that's going to lead you down a trail. So let's see what else, Benedikt.
I think like in your situation, I just like try to reach out to people and ask for help.
Yeah.
Like with that friend, like you're stuck with something, instead of like trying to solve it on your own, just send a message to your friend, or even to me if it's like a raised question.
Yeah.
And just ask for help. And uh, especially when you're in communities like Mega Maker and stuff, people are usually helpful there. So just like when you're stuck, have a question, post there, and usually you get at least a different opinion. I mean, you don't have to take it, but
that can also that can also be really helpful. Is you ask for advice, somebody tells you you're completely wrong, and sometimes you're like, oh, actually that kind of illuminated to me that I do think that I'm on the right track here. So sometimes even that can be helpful. What's really funny is I had a couple of people already just like direct message me on Mega Maker and say, hey, loving your podcast with Benedikt. If you ever need advice or something to bounce off of, hit me up. I'm like, that's amazing. That's that's so because of this show. So anyway, so yeah, thanks to those people. And if you're listening, shoot, like I'm B Ray on Twitter, BRHEA. Feel free to
feel
reach
free
out
to
and let's.
apply as co-founder.
Yeah, that's not what I was thinking, but yeah, you know what? Yes, why not? Yeah, feel free to just connect and let's.
But I feel like I don't think like just like asking people to apply as co-founder is probably not a smart idea.
Yeah, no.
But like from those conversations with people, and like if you end up working with someone or asking someone questions or discussing problems with someone, it might actually be a good idea to figure out who might be a good fit.
Yeah.
And then of course there's a lot of other stuff, like it has to be the right time for them, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But
no, I mean I see it like someone out of the clear blue sky. It would need to be, I mean, basically what you and Jane did, it's like, okay, let's do a paid engagement here and see if we even like working together on this.
Yeah.
But I am feeling very inspired to formally look for and start a mastermind group. That seems like a very practical thing to do, and there are even some folks in the Mega Maker community that I'm thinking about that would be good to reach out to. So
yeah, I think that's like mastermind groups are super valuable. It's like having a co-founder who isn't involved, like as deeply involved, and you don't have to share anything with them, but like just like I think you get a lot of the benefits from having a co-founder just from being on a mastermind group.
Yeah, those intangibles anyway. Well, let's wrap up here in a second. What do you have? So remind us what you've got going on in the upcoming week.
That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure yet, but I'll probably do some more research on the in-app messages.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll report back next week.
All right, cool. For me, I'm getting ready to leaving later this afternoon to go camping over the weekend, which will be a great recharge, maybe even get some fishing in. And then, so next week, I want to tie up just a couple of things that my session with my friend on Tuesday revealed, and I want to get them sorted out and resolved. It should have some pretty real performance gains, and also just clean up the code a ton. So I want to get that put out, and I'm going to say I want to start the process of finding forming a mastermind group with hopefully folks who are in a somewhat similar position. At least floating that idea a little bit and seeing if there's something there.
Yeah, sounds good.
Am I missing anything?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, and so let's see. On the podcast stuff itself, we do. So we want to. Do we want to hire like a service to do the editing and publishing and stuff for us?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Like after our conversation last week, I started to feel really, really bad. We're doing this podcast and we're discussing that you don't have enough time to work on feature audit. And the longer we talk about it, the more stuff you have to edit. It's felt like that's probably not a smart idea. Let's just hire a service to do that. Especially as I said, like the two of being like people on this, we can just split the expenses.
Split expenses. Yeah.
It's almost peanuts at that point.
Yep. Yeah. Cool. Well, the feedback has been really good already. At least I've had a bunch of people reach out to me, and we saw some good stuff on Twitter. So thanks everybody who's listening. It's really encouraging, and a ton of fun. So hope you're enjoying it. Reach out and let us know what we can do to make it better.
Yes, and show notes for this episode, slowandsteadypodcast.com.
Great. All right. We'll talk next week, Benedikt. Later.
Yep. See you.
All right. Bye.